Hello.
Hello
We
there.
are finally live. Good evening and welcome to another Supernatural Live, where we are exactly that. We're live the next hour or so. And we said to you that we're going to be bringing you different subjects each and every week. Friday, we looked at science and psychic. Today, we're looking at witchcraft, torture, and medieval execution. James' favourite subject, which we're going to be talking about. We want to hear your views on all of it. Well, you believe in this kind of thing? What do you know about it? Is it superstition? Whatever the case might be, we want you to communicate and talk with us this evening. As always, we've got myself and James here live with you. And James, how are you doing?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. What about yourself?
We're still in isolation. It's going to happen for some time, so I've been told. So whilst that does go on, we're going to be here live fairly regularly with Supernatural Live. We'll also give you a good heads up if you're here this evening watching. We'll say hello to you as well and share your thoughts. You can see the bottom of the screen there. It's all about witchcraft and torture. James, we do a tour on this in Southampton. We're bringing it to Windsor and Winchester pretty soon as well. And in fact, what do you know about it? What does it interest people so much?
I think the thing is, the whole witchcraft and torture is something very different. Now, I know ghosts does appear to some people or appeal, but I think with witchcraft, it's one of those things. It's out. I want to say it's out there a lot more to a certain degree. I think there is a history there to the witchcraft and everything else that sometimes people may not realise. And of course, when you think about witchcraft, you think about the different famous cases and bits like that, which does intrigue people.
Yeah. We're in Portsmouth as well, where not far from here was one of the famous final witchcraft cases, in fact.
Ah, Helen Duncan.
Yes. You've gone a
I
bit
thought,
quiet there.
I thought you were going to say something. But no,
Oh,
of course,
so
Helen
no,
Duncan
downward,
is a
downward.
very famous
Yeah,
story here in
so
Portsmouth.
let's give people a bit of background on this. Tell us a little bit about what you know about Helen Duncan so far.
Oh, Helen Duncan. Well, of course, a local shop was actually round in Cotner area. And of course, there's many different views of Helen Duncan. I've actually watched a couple of documentaries out on YouTube about her. Of course, other documentaries. I will say some of them are very long but very fascinating. Of course, Helen Duncan was a medium or psychic,
In Scotland,
and
yeah, from Scotland.
during her live seances that she would do with members of the public, she would bring forward different information. Now, of course, it's highly debatable where she got this information from. Some people say the information she would bring forward, like it would be, for example, like a World War II boat went down in the middle of the sea and no one was supposed to know about it. It was, of course, not public knowledge, but somehow she knew. Now,
Yeah,
there's different cases out there and different people that's actually analysing this. Some of the cases she may have known through different sources, but there is on the odd occasion where they just don't know how.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but of course, leading up to D-Day, they did actually trial her for the Witchcraft Act because she was letting out secrets of military.
And when you do that, you are going to raise a bit of suspicion, right? Firstly, a big hello, good evening to Maria, who's watching live right now. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's just cast our minds back here to the time when all this first kicked off. Now, of course, witchcraft has been going for many, many years. It still does. It's very good stuff these days. But back in the day, there was a lot of superstition around this. And let's go back and have a look at how it all kicked off. So in Europe, then we're looking at about 1560 when all this kicked off, and yeah, we know there was a large amount of people that were sadly they were executed for allegedly being a witch. Now we know there's some famous ones, like the Folder witchcraft trial, the Basque witch trials, Wurzburgen over in Germany as well. as a Salem witch trials. But here in the UK, it mainly came over here thanks to King James I of England, Scotland, who believed that the trip to meet his wife, which saw bad weather, was as a result of witchcraft. It's back in 1560, which it's a fair few years ago now. We're getting a bit of feedback, so I'm not sure where we're getting the feedback. I can hear it, but James says he can't.
A lot of people are reporting strange noises in the background.
Yeah, I can hear it. I can hear it. It sounds like I don't know what it is, but
Oh, no
I'm not
idea.
sure whether it's feedback from let's try that. Yeah, I can still hear it. It's a very strange noise. I'm not sure what that is. But we said never had it the other night, so yeah.
No, I don't know.
So yes, as we were saying, these witchcraft trials. Then we saw a lot of people persecuted for all very, very different reasons, really, but none of them seemed very legitimate reasons.
Yes, of course. I think actually around now I've done a lot of research on Matthew Hopkins, the self-appointed witchcraft general.
Well, you do play him on the ghost on
Yeah,
the witchcraft
yes,
trial, so
of course,
that would
indeed.
make sense.
But yeah, it's quite amazing that he could actually go to any village and anyone that he accused of being a witch, he got paid very well. In fact,
Yeah,
it was described he would get paid equivalent to 300 loaves of bread for each person he got accused. Of course, well, I don't know. During the time now, I don't know whether 300 bread is a lot or not, but back then, of course, it would have been a major amount of money's worth.
yeah, absolutely. I think the noise is something with your end, James, because
Is
whenever you
it?
talk, we can hear it.
Okay, I
That's
don't know.
that's just that's deliberate. That's not a witch in the background. Or not that I know of,
Yeah.
anyway. But we can. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I can hear it. It does sound like a witch cackling. To be fair, it sounds a very, very strange noise. I'm not sure whether what that is, but I do apologise. Hopefully, we'll find out what that is. Whilst in the meantime, so let's talk about this Matthew Hopkins there, who a lot of people thought maybe he was trying to hide something. Maybe he himself was even a witch trying to, they say, don't they, that people who do these kind of things are probably trying to hide something themselves.
Yeah, of course. There's many different stories out there where Matthew Hopkins was actually tried as a witch himself. I know it's all like no one really knows what's true, what isn't, but it's one of those things it's believed might have happened.
Yeah,
Can you-
what is that noise, everybody? We can still hear it. It's really, really odd. Um, Thanks for joining us, Alison and Gemma, who are listening and are watching online as well. Joining myself, James, and the Cackling Witch this evening.
There's
Is
nothing here.
this what we're talking about? We are talking about witchcraft this evening. Now, we are talking about back in predominantly a lot of this stuff happened in the 1560s, right through about 1630, and it spread across Europe. So yes, it went across America, it went across Europe. It became absolutely, I guess, in a way, weirdly scaremongering. James I, who was a big believer in the supernatural and superstition stuff, was so convinced that witchcraft existed that he allowed these trials to happen. He allowed people to be persecuted, executed, all these something as simple as a birthmark or a mole allegedly made you a witch.
People are still reporting like a witch sound.
Yeah, I can hear it. Obviously, you can't, so I'm guessing it must be. It's when you talk, James. Maybe you've got a weird cackle you picked up whilst you've been in isolation. Even by the
No.
way to Anthony and Leslie who are watching online as well. What I'm talking about, as you can see at the bottom there, Supernatural Live, and we're talking about witchcraft. So, what we're talking a long time ago, the 1500s, 1600s. What we've got to ask ourselves with this is, was it purely superstition that made people react in this way? And if it happened nowadays, would it be the same? Do we have any famous witches these days?
Sorry, Andrew, I was messing around
I
with
think
my
it's with us.
camera just to see if there's anything I can do about that sound. Famous witches today?
Yes.
Well, I guess really it depends what you incorporate into the term witches, because I guess you have got different famous witches out there which people are drawn to and people like in that field. Of course, what might have been said as a witch years ago is completely different to the meaning now. And what I mean by that is,
Yeah,
of course, like a lot of the famous mediums out there and stuff like that, or psychics and that predicts that stuff is going to happen. Of course, back then, years ago, they would have been witches. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I found grot bags terrifying,
I believe he might have done. But
but actually, being realistic about it, Civil League, who was around in the let me think about it, 1950s in
yeah,
New Forest. As you know, Burnley is in New Forest, still known for witchcraft and stuff today. We should point out that witchcraft today is very, very different. Back in those days, back in 1500s, 1600s, we're talking about mass hysteria. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about something people couldn't explain. The only rational explanation was to accuse them of being witches.
but
And by
then
the way,
again,
men also were accused of witchcraft. It
I
wasn't
think
just
uh,
ladies; it was men as well.
I think there's many of good examples of this. It's a bit like a few years ago we had that dust storm that came over from a desert from Egypt. Of course, the whole Portsmouth was dusty. You had orange sky at night and stuff like that. Now, back then, would have been quite easy to say, "Oh my God, there's a local witch in a village that's causing this." But
Yeah,
of course, to
yeah. I
us,
mean, let's
you know,
Yeah, I mean, Leslie's got a very good point there. Nowadays, I guess we just refer to them as mediums because we now know, the paranormal as popular as it is. We know that people can communicate with the dead. Okay, we've got no physical proof of that, but we have had these things happen where people get messages from the other side. Back in those days, you came and said that to someone, that was it. I mean, just take this for example: the North Berwick witch trials, which were in Scotland. Even James VI got involved in that himself. We said before that he went to Denmark to meet his wife or bride, and he claimed that the weather was so bad that witchcraft was the result of this, that people were doing this to try and have him killed. Um, Subsequently, he then accused people of doing it. He believes that a nobleman, in fact, called Francis Stewart, 5th Earl Bothwell, was responsible for this and was a witch, and then outlawed as a traitor. That's how serious this was. Then he set up a royal commission to hunt down witches within the UK. He was the first king to unite England and Scotland and Wales together. And himself in 1597, he even wrote a book about it, called Demonology, simple that. Now, this spread across the land. It did, and we said about Matthew Hopkins. This was to happen nowadays, we probably would be able to explain it, but with the king, a very prominent figure at that time, saying, "You know what? I've had witchcraft happen to me. Naturally, that's going to cause a ripple effect across the country."
yeah, I think the thing is, back then it was far much easier to look at things from an unscientific point of view. Of course, now there's a lot of science that comes into play in our daily lives and everything else. But back then, it was very easy to say, this bad luck we're having, or this going on, and that's going on. It's witchcraft is upon us. And
Yeah, completely. And as Leslie quite rightly said there, people were scared of the unknown. We still are scared of the unknown. We don't know what causes ghosts. We said that before. We don't know why these people were doing this. So naturally, the only way to react to that is to do what they did, and that is they burned these people alive, they executed them, they tortured them. It was, a pretty horrific time to be around. Now, 80% of those accused of witchcraft were female. 20% about that were male. It wasn't just females that were accused of this. Wait, I've got a phone call. Yeah, okay. I've lively told that Rob Bags is not a real witch. Right.
just
Okay.
ignoring, just forgetting this part.
Apologies for that. we've got to get it right. Got back to our real witch planet. Now, as we said, it's a fear of the unknown, and perhaps
I,
people do accept these things more now. I don't know. I don't know.
I do agree with what Leslie just put. We do accept it more now because, good example, if we go see like a tarot card reader, we just see them as a psychic or whatever, or someone doing tarot cards. Where back then, if they done anything similar, it would be said it was witchcraft.
But if you said to someone, "I think you're a witch," nowadays, they're still going to be pretty offended, right? In some cases, not all of them, because
I
some of
guess
them
so,
are
yeah.
mediums, white witches, whatever the case might be. We have to remember here that this is mass hysteria. So let's just cast our minds back here and just clarify that actually witchcraft does happen today, and what you see on TV with Sabrina, for example, good example on Netflix at the moment, and those kind of things. Yes, they do happen. But that's not what we're looking at here. We're looking at people who are doing pretty normal things, whether they were communicating with ghosts, whether they had a mole or birthmark, whatever the case might be. Those simple things, which are very, very normal, meant you were a witch back in those days. That's how scared people were.
Well, yes, of course. I know earlier we said about Matthew Hopkins. Now, we all know during the witchcraft trials and stuff like that, they would look for people that had any, I don't know, moles, marks, birthmarks, anything at all that would make you different. And of course, one of the things they would do, like a mole, for example, they would stick a needle in it. If it hurt, that's good. It was a sign of a devil. If it didn't hurt, it's a sign that you was a witch and you had some sort of magical power. So, do you get what I mean? There's only going to be one answer. And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to witchcraft that they would actually do, like the whole of chucking someone in water if they drowned. Um, that means they're
When
innocent. They're dead, but they're
yeah,
innocent.
yeah,
If they
and
blow
this is an
it,
interesting point that you bring up here, because actually, did religion play an important part of this? Because back in those days, because we were a very religious country, or Catholic, Christian, whatever the case might have been at the time, yeah, both probably in that time, and people naturally thought that if you did something odd, it was evil. So you're right. The whole point of throwing someone in water was that if you drowned, you were innocent. If you were to float, that you were guilty. Because what that meant was you'd been rejected by the baptismal waters of the Catholic or Christian Church. Now, this, be honest with you, you were tied up anyway. One of your thumbs were tied to one of your toes. Either way, you were pretty much doomed, whether you survived or not. But around a huge number of people across Europe, around 50,000 people in Europe at that time, this happened to them. They were accused of being a witch. They were executed. They were at least put on trial.
yeah, indeed. I do believe, like what you said, religion did actually play a important part in it, and sadly, it you can easily say it did influence it. But
Absolutely did. I mean, these are innocent people, effectively, like we said. That there's very famous cases. We look at Salem witchcraft trials. We look at Pendle Hill a little bit later on as well, and just tell you about those famous cases. But when you said before, when you get a book written by by the King of England called Demonology, and that became it's still around. It's a very, very popular book. Surely that is going to pound the minds of people. I think even we look at someone like Salem, in fact, Salem Witchcraft Trial is an excellent example, actually. We said we'll talk about that. This is, of course, over in the United States, and they get a lot of tourism off the back of this today because of it. Now, that happened in 1692 to about 1693 for about a year. First person, actually, who was executed, or one of the first people, on the case of being a witch was from England.
yeah,
You know this?
see, something I find interesting about Salem, of course, like I said earlier with Matthew Hopkins. Matthew Hopkins did actually do a book on about finding witches and what to look for. And they do actually believe one of his books that was taken across to Salem may have started it all off. But of course, it's one of those things they believe it happened, but nothing is
Yeah,
left.
and that's enough to really kick things off, isn't it? The fact that, you know, in fact, the three of the people who were actually arrested in Salem were Betty Paris, Abigail Williams, and a 12-year-old girl, Anne Putnam Jr. Quite young, really. Again, they think that was off the back of a family feud, which the only way to try and resolve it was to accuse your family of being a witch. Rather strange, but it did happen. But this is very. I mean, everyone knows Salem, don't they? It's like world famous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, I know apparently, even if you look it up now, it's supposed to be the #1 Halloween destination that people go to.
Yeah, I've never been there, but I've never been to America, to be fair. So we said about one of the first people was a guy called Giles Corey in Salem. He was a farmer from England originally, and people suspected that his wife was a witch. So what he did was he went, yeah, she's definitely a witch, because he thought actually I would get him off the hook if he did that. Not quite. You see, if you are married to a witch, the likeliest chances are they were going to accuse you of being one. That's exactly what happened. Now, for a lot of those people in Salem, they said for many years they didn't know where the graveyard was, where people were buried, but there is actually a graveyard there, I'm reliably told. So, how true that is, I don't know. And of course, this is big now. There's a TV series on Netflix called Salem. There's been various movies about it. There's been various documentaries about it. It's a huge thing that all of us are fascinated with.
Yeah, I think with Salem, it is a in thing, should I say. It does intrigue a lot of people, like what I said to do with Halloween, but like you rightly said, with Netflix shows on there, even whether it's Sabrina or Salem or whatever, it has a key interest in people.
So, in answer to the question you've got there, Leslie, about Salem, what we got from stats here is that more than 200 people were accused initially. 30 of them were found guilty. 19 of those were executed by hanging. 14 women and 5 men. And one other man, Giles Corey, we mentioned earlier, was pressed to death for refusing to plead. At least 5 people died in jail. Phew, that's a fair few people from massive Syria, right? There's a fair few people who probably they were either blaming each other and were innocent, or just scared themselves and did a bit of both. Who knows? So, what would cause this massive hysteria at the time? Do you think, James? We kind of mentioned a lot of it may have been not understanding, but what do you think?
I think the thing is there's a number of different reasons, but I think it, even though you mentioned it, I think okay, religion does play a part, but like I said, it is much easier to when we're having all bad luck, I guess blame something. #1, it gives us a bit of hope that we know what the reason is and what's going on, and of course #2, we believe if we get rid of that, then everything's going to get better. I guess whether it's a village or town or whatever, if we say okay, it's the witch that's causing our crops, not growing well, or animals dying off, or this is happening, that's happening, it's much better just to say, actually, it's a witch over there, she's causing it. If we kill her, it's all going to go back to normal.
Yeah,
The worst part about it is, by killing that person, there's probably some sort of placebo effect there that people naturally thinks it does get better.
doesn't always happen. Good evening to Janice, by the way. Some shocking figures, likewise back in the United Kingdom, has come back over here. The Pendle Hill witchcraft trial. Now, Janice, who's joined us, she knows all about that because one of the witches, of course, our witchcraft. I keep calling it a ghost tour, it's witchcraft tour in Southampton. Now, this happened in 1612, so kind of quarter way or so through the whole thing. It's actually the most famous witchcraft trial here in the United Kingdom. And one of the best recorded as well. That saw 12 people accused in that area, Pendle Hill in Lancashire, of being witches. Now, some of them were charged with the murders of about 10 people. They were claimed to use witchcraft to kill people. There's quite a lot of people. Some died in prison again. 11 who went on trial, 9 women and 2 men. 10 were found guilty and executed by hanging. and one was let off the hook, was found not guilty. But again, still a lot of people. Now, bear in mind with Pendle Hill, the 6 of the Pendle Hill witches actually came from one of 2 different families. So they all kind of knew each other in a way anyway. Again, it sounds a bit to me like a family feud where you just go, oh, that's what it is, they're a witch, and kind of best way to accuse someone. What were your thoughts on Pendle Hill?
The interesting part I find about Pendle Hill isn't the area of where it happened now. It's actually part of a kids' playground. I believe it
That's a bit of a
is.
worrying thought.
No, I'm being serious. There's documentaries out there on YouTube, and if they actually go back to the site of where it happened and everything else, and part of it is actually a kids' playground now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's things have changed, I guess, in time. Janice been in touch saying Alice Nutter, yeah, Alice Nutter, who was part of the Pendle Witchcraft trial. In fact, there's even a statue of Alice Nutter in Pendle. I've never been to Pendle, but I know as much as that. And again, these people, again, we said that most of them were females. There were some men as well, but these burnings at stake, they were public affairs. These hangings that people went through on the accusation of being witchcraft, witches, was all public. People went along to see this.
Yeah.
One, it's going to scare people more, I'm sure, because if you went along and saw that, would you really want to be the next person being accused of it? Some of them just went, okay, fine, we're witches.
But then again, I will say what you said about a public thing, people coming along and watching. Back then, all throughout for years, it was a very common thing to do. Go down, see someone being hung or tortured. Yeah, it's a common thing.
Yeah, there were public affairs, weren't there? I mean, you've got to remember that people went along and watch this because you can't really watch anything else. We've got Janice said as well, road trip needed for Pendle Hill research. Oh, please, when we get out of isolation, we'll
Yeah.
be partying like anything. I mean, it's the best thing to do, rightfully so, we should be doing it, but we'll be partying like it's like 2000 all over again, if you remember that. Peter's been in touch as well. Probably one of the best films I've seen about witchcraft was The Witchfinder General. I don't think I've seen that. Have I seen that? No, I
No,
haven't
it's
seen that.
a film we actually thought we were going to watch it and we haven't got around to it.
Well, we've got plenty of time right now, so hopefully we'll be able to watch it. I'll have to check that out. Check that out. Peter, tell us more about it if you can. It'd be fantastic. Tom, hello. Hope everybody is well. Leslie as well. Definitely love the trip to Pendle Hill. Leslie, we'll go. We'll get it together. We'll get up there. We'll have a look at this site for ourselves, even if it is a kids' playground. Sounds wrong. This is, we said before, it fascinates the world. Philip's also online right now saying hello, hi to everybody. It's always nice to say hi to everybody. So we said about Pendle Hill. Do you think, and this is being careful here, do you think that a lot of this witchcraft was because people were religious?
Yes, I would actually say it is. I think the thing is, but I would say, depending on what religion, if you get what I mean, because if you look at pagans or whatever else, this is all probably quite normal to them, or would have been at the time.
I'm not sure that they would normally necessarily be executed and stuff, but
No, but what I
what
mean
we need to
is,
be thinking about is that back in those days, certainly in the 1500s, you got to remember that you had Henry VIII up until 1547. The Tudor family couldn't work out whether they wanted to be Catholic or Christian. There was a
yeah,
lot of unrest about that kind of thing, where actually you were pushed to go in a certain way because that's what the country was like. And ultimately, anything witchcraft-like or demon-like, and they're very different things to clarify, was against religion. That's going to play a part, isn't it, in what people believe to be this whole witchcraft thing.
yeah, I guess depending on what part of the world you actually look at, of course, throughout the years, would have a very different meaning to the witchcraft going on. But of course, I think for the UK and America and even other parts of Europe, it was seen as evil. It was seen as the devil's work.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's a very worrying thing to think about. So let's just say, for example, we said before that one of the things that, of course, made people admit to being a witch, even if they weren't one, was because they were tortured. We heard about Corey earlier, he was pressed as a punishment because he wouldn't admit to being a witch. Now, surely, if you're going to be some of the stuff which you can tell us about in a minute, some of the stuff that Matthew Hopkins done. Surely, just to say, get this over with, I'll just be a witch, because you was that scared. Before we ask you about that, Nathan has been in touch as well. Hello, good evening to you. Yes, there is a witchcraft museum in Boscastle. Actually, we went there, didn't we, a couple of times?
Yes, we did. It's actually quite. I found with that one, it's quite a fascinating place, but it's one of those things you need to spend quite a few hours there reading all the bits of information. It's a fantastic museum.
Oh, fascinating. It's some of the stuff there. It's just mesmerising. So, stepping back, then we said that if you were accused even slightly of being a witch, you would have been tortured in some form or another. Just tell us, because you've done quite a lot of research on this for the tours that we do.
Yeah.
What kind of things did Matthew Hopkins in particular do? Because, to be fair, in modern day terms, these are quite worrying, disturbing things.
It's one of the ones I find fascinating. Of course, we said about the needle thing, going into moles or different parts of the body. Now, there's actually a belief out there that the needle could actually come back in. So even though he would press it against someone, say it was in a wooden tube, he could slide the needle up so they didn't actually feel anything. So of course, it goes back to saying that you're doomed if you do, doomed if you don't. He could either jab the needle in and say, okay, yeah, that's a devil's mark, that's why they're, screaming out, or either they could say, okay, it's not causing pain, that's a devil's work. I think the thing is, no matter how you look at Matthew Hopkins, of course, he wasn't allowed to, by law, torture him. Because, in theory, he wasn't above the law, but there's different ways. And I think one of the classic ways was, of course, his first accused person was his next door neighbour. And even though she was about 80 years old, they actually stripped her naked and got her to sit on a chair with knees up there for a couple of days, because they believed that the imps or the demons would need to feast on the woman's blood for life.
It does to a degree sound like someone just trying to make a profit out of this whole thing, or make a name for himself at least.
But literally, and they would watch if there was any cats, mice, any animals at all that appeared. And they would believe, of course, that was demonic. And the problem is with it, with anyone, if you sat on a stool with no food, no drink for about 3 days, had no clothes, you would start going mad. Oh, and also, you wasn't allowed to go to sleep either, because they'd wake you up. So, do you get what I mean? Technically, it wasn't back then, it wasn't a form of torture, but, yeah.
It's still a boring activity. It's going to make you, go a little bit, So let's have a look at a very famous case, because we said before, this spread across Europe like anything. And it came to, some believe, came to Scotland before it came down to England. It kind of spread from north downwards. And we believe what historians say, this was off the back of King James VI. Now, we said before, he went to Copenhagen to meet his wife, or then become his bride, and came across quite hideous storms on the way, from which he claimed were done by witchcraft. Now, he started to spread this idea across Scotland, and one of the first cases was a young lady called Glynis Duncan. I can't even say her name. Glynis Duncan. I'll get it right in a minute. Something like it all happened. Now, Glynis Duncan had been working with for her employer, David Seaton, for quite some time. Now, he started to become a little bit nervous of her, a little bit suspicious of her, because she was going out late at night and returning back, because he lived with her in one of the outbuildings. Now, Seaton started to think to himself, why is Duncan going out? why is she disappearing off out in places? And he then came up with this idea that clearly she was a witch, and that's the only reason why you'd be going out late at night. Okay, so with that in mind, he then actually basically tortured her for about, we think, about 3 days with hot irons, with starvation, and for 3 days she kept saying, "But I'm not a witch. I'm refusing. I'm not a witch. I'm definitely not." And she was very adamant. The torture got worse and worse and worse. She still refused to give in. That wasn't until day 3 when Stephen found a mark on her neck, which we believe now was a mole or birthmark. And for whatever reason it was, she turned around and went, "Okay, I am a witch." And that was in her days, and she basically executed off the back of that. I mean, 3 days is quite a long time to tough battle, but was it the fact that actually she just went, "You know what, can't do this anymore, I'm never going to get out of this, let's just say I am one"?
Do you think a lot of people actually done that because whether it's Matthew Hopkins or other people doing the so-called torture, it was just much more easier to say, okay, I am a witch, I want it to end now, I've had enough, because all they're going to do is keep on torturing me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we said before, that a big reminder of this is that, yes, dominantly, those accused of being a witch were female. Strangely, the majority of them were over the age of 40 as well. High proportion were over the age of 40. We do know there are some younger ones. We mentioned one earlier with one of the trials we were talking about. 20% of them were men, but overall, across Europe, around 50,000 people lost their lives off the back of being accused of being a witch. Weird. We're still getting weird noises.
Yeah, I'm trying to look around.
Somewhere.
There's nothing here. All I've got here is my laptop. That's, don't know, it's bizarre. We didn't have any of this half the night, did we?
No, I think we have invited Rob Bags in to join us this evening. Pastor James, I have to say, a very interesting book you've got on the back of your cupboard there. Is it a signed copy?
No, I've got a few signed copies in my bedroom next door of different books, but no, it's not for
I don't want to know what's in the other room. So, back on it then. So, again, we said before, and let's put it out there because we're in Southampton and Portsmouth, where a lot of people, we said a lot of these things that happened were Scotland, Northern England, but they did come down to here in Southampton and Portsmouth as well. And this is how bad it got, right? There were so many people accused of witchcraft, they brought ducking stalls into cities, right? There was 2 in Southampton, actually there was more than 2 in Southampton. One of them was near, Southampton was near where the Bargate is. And they then made them portable, so they could take them around to people's houses, knock the door and go, "Are you a witch?" Well, you're not going to say, "Yeah, are you?" I would imagine. But if you did anything suspicious, that was it. One very famous case in Southampton was of a young girl. I say young girl, she was in her teens, I believe, and she got the flu. Now, in those days, the flu was obviously a very bad thing to have, but she has to be careful with going. Obviously, situations. She recovered without one single mark about anything. And people are, well, how can that happen? It can't have happened. And so, because of that, she was accused of being a witch, and she was then put on the ducking stool and died.
Yeah, I think the thing is, there's a lot that went on around us, and I guess we're never going to know history 100%. It's all what's being told for us or what's been left. But there's probably even more cases out there we don't even realise.
Maybe even to a degree, and you've got to argue this as well. Did James VI bring it into England and Scotland in a way of almost trying to control population as well? You've got to ask that question. Yes, it was in Europe, but did he bring it here because he wanted that kind of control over them? Because remember, he was King James VI of Scotland, but the first of the United Kingdom. So united 3 countries, or 4, whatever, that were really not, or even 5, who were not that friendly at one point. Is this a way of trying to instill fear into people? Or was it a way of trying to instill fear?
I guess you could say by making something and making people scared, indeed you've got their control, because then of course they're going to follow you in believing that you know what you're talking about and you know the best way forward.
But he wrote a book because he obviously thought he was pretty
Mm.
much an expert on all things witchcraft, just from going to Copenhagen and back,
Yeah,
and experiencing stuff
quite
here as
possible.
well. Peter's been in touch with us saying that he thinks he read somewhere the Black Death was caused by witchcraft trials. I've no idea about that one. To be fair, maybe that's true. Um, we don't know what the cackling noises are. I mean, unless there's a hidden witch somewhere in this room, which I believe there's not, then that could be what that is, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Um, yes, Leslie, good point on what I just said about King James as well. Good point. Was it because he didn't agree with his politics? Remember, let's go back. We said a
Yeah,
minute ago, you're trying to unite countries that didn't really want to be united back at the time. Right? No matter what the situation was, who was right to the throne and who was heir to the throne, whatever, put that to one side. Not before that, you had Tudors falling out with Stuarts and whatever, and all that kind of stuff going on. And all of a sudden, these countries that were battling over who had the right to reign them be united because witchcraft is come around. Was it a way of just was it a political stance from James VI or first, depending where you're from?
yeah. I think it's quite easy to say, and that might have been the case,
No, I
because
think it's
I was just going to say it's very hard, like what you said, with James just going across to Copenhagen, coming back and having all this knowledge just from a bad sea trip.
yeah, in which the only way to claim that in which is trying to kill him off because of what he's trying to do. So let's go forward a few years now as well, because it's not just those period of times that witchcraft was apparently rife around the world. Like we said before, Civil League in the 1950s, I believe 1950s. Janice, you're listening, tell me if I'm wrong. Janice plays the Civil League story in the New Forest for us. Civil League was someone who lived in the New Forest who claimed she was a witch. We also heard as well that during the wartime, people claim, including France's ex-king, who was an author, also claimed that there was a witch cult, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, what do you call it? It's not a witch, coven. Coven, that's the word. A coven in the New Forest. Now, no one's really spoken to this coven. No one really knows much about it. And because apparently it's a secret, several people, including a guy called Gerald, I can't remember what his surname was, claimed he was initiated into this coven in the New Forest in sort of wartime. I'm talking about World War II here. And then Francis X. King wrote a book about it saying, yes, this coven definitely exists. Rumour has it still exists today. Does it? Who knows? What's the difference between the witchcraft we're looking at people being accused of years ago and what happens today?
I did see, I know this slightly off topic, but because you said about the New Forest Covenant and stuff like that, I did actually read somewhere during World War Two they actually got together and they were trying to destroy the German planes and curse the Germans and get them to turn back. And there's many different stories out there, like the New Forest and like other bits, where witches got together to try to affect the Germans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, Burley now, we've all been, well, I suppose a lot of us have been to Burley. Fantastic place that it is. Um, it's we've got I mean, that's become almost like a tourist hotspot for people who like something a little bit different. Now, witchcraft today very different. You've got like the white witches, the yes, they play mediums, those kind of people. Civil League, on the other hand, who went to America to live after a while, was a little bit out there. Let's say that. She had a raven, as Danish just reminded me there as well. A little bit unique, but why has Burley become so synonymous with witchcraft today?
I guess it's really where when Sybil Leek was there, of course, she would attract people from all across the world, and people would naturally go to her. Now, I guess over the years that's just sort of sunk in. People's associated Burley with Civil League, and it's just held its name for people going there to want to know a bit more about witchcraft or something to do with witchcraft. And like when we've been there before, other people have, you notice that quite a few shops are going around there. It's all to do with witches and everything else, and you've got a lot of ornaments and tarot cards and stuff. It's quite an amazing place.
Oh yeah, it's unique. I mean, like Janice said in our little chat room there, she published several books as well. Went to live in America for a bit as well. But said she was from. She said her family were historically witches as well, but she's been brought up in that kind of environment. Burley nowadays, if you go there, it's so nice because it's so different. But it's a very small little, what do you call it, like a little village, I suppose, over in the New Forest. But if you're into all these kind of things, to check it out. What was saying that, Nathan brought up earlier about the Witchcraft Museum in Boscastle. Now it's very famous. It flooded, didn't it? Years ago, it flooded, if you remember that. And it had a lot of damage done to it. But it is a fantastic, fantastic museum. And it's so different that you just want to go there. I mean, James, you've been there. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I found it very fascinating, and I think the thing is seeing all the different items there, knowing what they've been using. And of course, there's even recordings that they've got of witches doing, I don't know what you'll call it now, spells and stuff like that. It's a fascinating place, but it's one of those things you really want to go to people that's really into it, because there's a lot of reading that you need to do as you're walking around. I think personally, if you go with someone or with people that just want to have a nose at the different items there, you can quickly, easily walk in there, walk through it, and walk back out. But of course, there's so much information to take in walking through there.
The weird thing as well is it looks so small, doesn't it, on the outside? When you go in, it's like a labyrinth of different places, which is, you know, we mentioned about witchcraft nowadays.
Yes.
Now, on Friday, we were talking about Wookie Hole. Now, if you remember, Wookie Hole, they employ a witch to work there. That's different, isn't it? What's that about? What do you think that is something that would I need to do?
There's, I guess, still quite a few different places out there that do believe in witches, and you know, I could bring up one of the cases that me and you experienced, where one of the local owners to a haunted location got a witch in to create paranormal activity.
Yes, we do remember this many years ago. It was a venue we know very well, and apparently the owner of it was a little bit upset that there wasn't much paranormal activity happening. So apparently knew somebody who was I don't know what you call them, like a modern witch, I suppose. Not the kind of white witches that we normally know about, just kind of like, I don't know, apparently opened a portal or something like that that made things happen. But clearly there is still that still around, isn't it? People know witchcraft, people taking part in it. It's mesmerising the amount of people that know about it. I mean, Leslie said as well, all of the southwest coastline is renowned for witchcraft. It's a part of our history, which is so important as well. Yes, Janice, we do appear to have a Clacking witch with us this evening. We don't know who she is or where she's come from, but if she can go home now, that'd be really good. But she's still here. I swear there is no witch here at the moment, only the ones we're talking about. But we said about some of the famous cases. We said about Salem. We said about Kendall in the UK as well. What are the ones we're missing out? There's loads of famous ones, right?
There's different ones all across the world, and I think the thing is, if we discussed them all, we'd be here for hours. And there is so many to list, and I think even if you look at the UK, there is so many different times where witchcraft did happen throughout the years, and the list just goes on. It's like, good example, Anne Boleyn was accused of witchcraft.
Well, anything to try and get off the throne was it was of an interest to Henry VIII, wasn't it? But yeah, she was accused of that. To influence people and make things happen. Aragon, I'm sure, would have agreed with that. But yeah, absolutely, she was another one that was accused of witchcraft. And what happened to her?
Yeah. So I'm just reading a comment
Execution.
that people still hear this witch sound in the background.
I'll tell you what, she's not here on Friday when we do the next one. There's definitely something very weird going on.
Yeah, that is true. There's nothing here. I've looked around several times. I think the only thing that's making a noise in here is the little fan on my laptop. There's nothing else. I don't know about your end. Anything?
No, well, I can hear it, but I don't know what it is. How about this? When it comes to the worst witchcraft trial, that hands down goes to Wurzburg. I don't know how you say it. I don't know how to say it. Wurzburg in Germany. That was between 1626 and 1631. It's one of the biggest mass trials, mass executions in Europe, courtesy of the witchcraft trials. Wait for this. 157 men, women and children in the city of Wurzburg were confirmed to be burnt at the stake. Or, they were burnt at the stake, by the way, after they were beheaded. They were burnt at the stake. Get that right. 219 were estimated to have been executed in the city. An estimated 900 people were killed in the entire province. Shocking. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. I do believe that was people from all ages as well.
Yeah, it was. Some of them there was play actors. In fact, there was even the wife of the mayor was executed. Choristers, the cathedral. Someone known as the prettiest girl in town was also executed. There's loads, really. 2 sons of the councillor. Some wandering boy was there as well. It's there's a girl of 15, 2 boys of 12. They did it in batches as well, which is rather scary. So you find that they tend to line different people up to execute them. Shocking, isn't it? It's really, really scary. But that's a lot of people that face execution. And what was the purpose of that? What was the result of that?
Wow.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's I guess I think that's the thing that a lot of people forget on witchcraft. Even though we can talk about Pendle Hill, we can talk about Salem, like the German one. There is many other cases out there which was a lot bigger and technically should be a lot more famous, but they don't gain the attention. And I don't quite know why that is. Just sort of forgot about in the background. Of course, I'm out there in the history books and the witchcraft books and stuff like that. But for some reason, people just aren't drawn to them.
And for reasons we'll never find out. Hopefully nowadays none of that kind of stuff happens. So over the last hour, we have looked at some of the most gruesome, horrifying statistics of witchcraft. I just want to give you a heads up to this Friday. We'll be back again. I believe it's in 9 o'clock or 9:30 this Friday. Check it out on our Facebook page. And we're going to be talking about my favourite subject, to one of them, Enfield poltergeist. A very famous case from the 1970s, so right here in England, is the Enfield poltergeist. So we're going to be debating that this coming Friday right here on Facebook Live, on Supernatural Live. Come along and join in, because I can tell you something right now. When it comes to Enfield poltergeist, me and James kind of end up clashing quite a lot. So you might see some good action on this Friday's show. And as always, thank you so much for being here this evening. Before you do go, make sure you do come back. And a big thank you to everybody for being here this evening. A big thank you to everybody for supporting Supernatural tours and events. It's very hard times at the moment with isolation going on, but we all know and agree it's for the right reasons. So whatever you do between now and Friday, whatever you do over the next few months, is listen to the advice of NHS, do it, and listen to the advice from the government as well. Don't be going out there going to beaches and stuff. Don't do that. Make sure you stay at home unless you're going out for essentials or whatever other reason they told you can go out for. It's still, I've been out and about today, and there's still people in groups of talking and chatting and stuff. Don't do it. It's for the sake and good of everybody, including people and the NHS as well. And please keep supporting supernatural tours and events. For us, we don't know when the tours are going to be back. We don't know when the ghost hunts are going to be back. And like most businesses, this is having a big impact on us as well as everybody who's been impacted so far. But look after each other and stay safe is the main thing. I'm just going to double check, James, what time it is on Friday. So you keep the nation
Yes, of
entertained. I'll have
course.
a little look.
What I will say, I know Andrew mentioned about the Enfield Poltergeist. As Andrew rightly said, over for years, me and Andrew can never quite agree on this.
We
And
weren't there, but
no, but we spent many, mornings, afternoons, everything talking about the Enfield Poltergeist. And we've both got very different views on what's actually happened and what went on. But like Andrew said, a big thank you for joining us. We're doing whatever we can to keep you informed and keep you entertained. Of course, sadly, with the ghost hunts and ghost tours, we can't do them at the moment. And like Andrew said, please stay indoors. I know constantly out in the news, you've got people going to the beaches, sunbathing, meeting groups, everything else.
what's it's freezing out there. I've been out for essentials just to point out.
Seriously, on Friday, there was actually photographs of people sunbathing in Old Portsmouth. Yes.
People, don't do it. It's 9 o'clock on Friday. We're going to be here, so slightly later. So please, as we said before, come along and join us. All about the Enfield Poltergeist. And who knows, actually, if you want to come on, we've got a spare camera we could use. Me and James don't mind giving it away. If you're up for it, give us a shout. We'll see what we can do. It's all in the best interest to keep everybody home and safe and keep doing these. So again, thank you to everybody. Please keep looking at our like page. I was going to say something else, but I forgot what it is. So whatever it is, if you're on our like page, let us know what you're doing as well to keep safe. What you're doing at home. Maybe you're, kind of ghost hunting. You might be doing a bit of physical exercise in your back garden or whatever you're doing. Keep in touch with us as well is the main thing. But staying safe, of course, is very, very important. Actually, what I was going to say, when we do get back up and running, we can tell you we're going to be bringing, yes, more ghost hunts as always, but to new locations. But also, we are going to bring you the Witchcraft Torch Execution Tour, the Force of Winchester and Windsor. So, for those of you who booked onto events in April, we don't know about Windsor yet. Assuming that may or may not change. Keep your head on that. Anybody who's booked onto Portsmouth, Southampton, or Winchester next month, you will get an email from us very shortly to see if we can move it on to another day. That's what we're trying to do where possible, is move you to another date if we can. Obviously, failing that, then we'll email you with further instructions. But till then, keep safe, and we'll see you when?
Next Friday.
It's Friday. Have a good one. Stay safe, and thanks very much, everyone. Enjoy.
Bye.